Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host, James Egan. In case you haven't already seen it, I've done a video about the 1954 film Godzilla. People have asked me to do a video about the other Godzilla movies. The other 32 Godzilla movies. The funny thing is, I only realized doing this video that a Godzilla movie came out this year and last year, and there's another film coming out this year, all on Netflix, so I gotta do them as well. But I'll talk about them in the next video. There's no way I can do this in one video. So I'll look at Godzilla 2 to Godzilla 15, I think? And then I'll do the rest of them after that. Now, you might be thinking, I'm not really into Godzilla. I haven't seen the movies, and they're a bit cheesy and all that. You don't have to watch any of the movies to appreciate, not just because it's the most famous monster of all time, and one of the most influential Japanese films of all time. It's because of stuff like this. And this. And that. So without further ado, here are 100 facts about the Godzilla franchise. Let's dive in. Okay, I finished Godzilla, so let's look at the sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, which came out in 1955. In fact, people were so desperate for a Godzilla movie, this movie only came out 6 months after the first Godzilla movie. Godzilla died in the previous movie, so the Godzilla in this film is a completely different creature. The Godzilla suit was given batteries so the eyes could move. This should have made the suit easier to operate because it didn't require cables to move the eyes. Sadly, it made the already incredibly heavy suit even heavier. The batteries were not used again. This is the first movie where Godzilla battles another monster. He fights Anguirus, who is an ankylosaur dinosaur. In some translations, Anguirus is called Anglius. The American version of the movie is called Gigantus the Fire Monster. The producer of the American version said he changed the title to Gigantus because he thought Americans would be more interested if they were watching a brand new monster movie. He deeply regretted this decision. Godzilla famously smashes a pagoda tower. A pagoda is a tiered building with multiple eaves. Audience members loved how it looked when it collapsed, so a pagoda is destroyed in nearly every Godzilla movie. I don't know why, it's just very satisfying to watch it collapse. Look at it go! The Godzilla suit was given a zipper to allow the actor to get out with ease. The director wanted the fight scenes to be in slow motion. The camera technician accidentally sped the footage up, so the fight scenes were in fast forward. The director liked this idea and kept it in. Godzilla's suit was slimmed down in this movie to allow the actor to move faster when he was fighting. This Godzilla is more powerful than the previous Godzilla because it has a gene that allows it to heal. The movie was nearly remade into an American film called The Volcano Monsters. There's a shot of Godzilla from a plane where he is standing still. In this shot, the monster isn't an actor in a suit, it's a wind-up toy. The toy was meant to be wound up and released so it'd walk around. It looks so fake, they made the toy not move, so it's just standing still. It is one of the most awkward moments in all the movies, but I promise you, there are plenty more ridiculous moments. And the most interesting fact about this movie is, this was the first film that George Takei appeared in. He dubs 12 characters in the American version. Now let's look at the third movie, King Kong vs. Godzilla, which came out in 1962. Sorry, this picture here is a bit misleading. Although this looks pretty awesome, this is what Godzilla and King Kong look like in this movie. Little bit anticlimactic. This film has a lot of firsts. It's Godzilla's first crossover. It's the first time King Kong is not stop motion, instead he's a man in a rubber suit like Godzilla. It is the first time they have both appeared in color. It was the first time King Kong appeared in 29 years since his debut in 1933. It was also the first Godzilla film shot in widescreen, and the first Godzilla movie to have a clearly comedic tone. Now, the movie Godzilla vs. King Kong is going to come out in 2020, but you're probably curious to know, what do I think? Who would win a fight, King Kong vs. Godzilla? There's only one answer, Godzilla, because King Kong is 25 foot tall and Godzilla's 400 foot tall. I think his tooth might be bigger than King Kong. This is the reason why King Kong is huge in the recent movie, just to make it fair. And it did the same thing in this movie, otherwise there wouldn't be a movie. Godzilla would kill him in 2 seconds, probably without even noticing. The original script was called Godzilla vs. Frankenstein. In the Frankenstein script, Dr. Frankenstein was supposed to cobble together a monster from dead animals. Although that was thrown out, there's a point in this movie where Kong gets struck by lightning, which makes him stronger. This is a reference to how the monster was supposed to be Frankenstein. The people of Germany were so angry that all the Frankenstein references were removed that in their dubs it is said that all the monsters that Godzilla fights in later movies are creations of Frankenstein. Godzilla dropkicks Kong at one point. The filmmakers used stop motion for this scene. It is the only time where stop motion was used for Godzilla. At one point, Kong chokes Godzilla by shoving a tree down his throat. This is a reference to the 1933 film King Kong, where Kong shoves a tree into a T-Rex's mouth. There's a rumor in the Japanese version Godzilla wins, and in the American version Kong wins. However, this rumor is false, but in the original script, Kong was supposed to win. In this movie, the army uses a Davy Crockett, which is a portable, missile-launched nuclear weapon. At the time of the movie's release, this weapon was classified. So someone found out classified information and they thought the best thing to do with it is put it into a movie with King Kong and Godzilla. At one point, 4 octopi attack Kong. Hot air was blown on the octopi to force them to move. After the octopi finished their scenes, they were released back into the ocean, except one who was eaten by a crew member. Godzilla's roar is more high-pitched in this movie. His roar stays like this for the majority of the movies and became Godzilla's iconic roar. Although this film is a sequel to Godzilla, it is not considered a sequel to King Kong or Son of Kong. On the poster, Godzilla is green, even though in the movie, he's charcoal grey. The publicity department thought that Kong looked so bad that they didn't want to show him on any of the advertisements. The reason why he looks the way he does is because the special effects director wanted him to look silly because he was worried the ape would frighten children if he looked menacing as he was originally depicted. And finally, in the movie, Kong throws Godzilla into the ocean. This wasn't scripted. The Godzilla actor was still in the suit, and he very nearly drowned. And the worst thing was, this wasn't an accident. The guy who played Kong, Shoichi Hirose, did this on purpose. Mothra vs. Godzilla came out in 1964. In the American version, the movie is called Godzilla vs. The Thing. In Germany, the film was called Panic in Tokyo. I forgot this. Nearly every single Godzilla film has about 4 or 5 alternative titles, half of which don't make any sense. Mothra is the first female monster. Mothra first appeared in her own movie, Mothra, in 1961. Mothra became the most famous Toho creation outside of Godzilla for decades. Even though her name is Mothra, she is a butterfly, not a moth. This is the first time Godzilla crossed over with a monster that was in another Toho movie. In this movie, Godzilla has white eyes instead of yellow ones. At one point, the head of the Godzilla suit caught on fire. The actor didn't even notice. It was kept in the movie. Mothra has allies known as the Ito sisters. They are 6-inch tall female twins. They seem to know everything about Mothra, but their origin is not explained until much later in the franchise. In the American version, the Ito sisters are called the Peanuts. This is the first time Godzilla loses to another monster. It's also worth mentioning that Godzilla has never beaten Mothra in any of the movies. Okay, this next movie is confusing because Godzilla's name isn't even in the title. Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster, came out in 1964. This movie is the debut of Godzilla's nemesis, Ghidorah. He's a 3-headed dragon, and he's also the first monster in the series to be an alien. Ghidorah's name is pronounced Ghidorah in this movie. Eventually, the name was pronounced Ghidorah because it just sounds cooler. This film features a pterodon-like monster called Rodin. This is Rodin's second movie. He first appeared in Rodin, the Flying Monster. This is the first time Godzilla teams up with other monsters. Ghidorah shoots X-rays from his mouths. Originally, Ghidorah was supposed to breathe fire, but the filmmakers thought the idea was too cliched. Actually, I just realized, I don't think any of the monsters breathe fire. Atomic breath, poisonous vapor, infrared lasers, toxic spores. That's a lot of restraint, having 25 giant monsters and not one of them shoot fire. Ghidorah was supposed to have rainbow-colored wings, but the filmmakers thought that would be ridiculous because nothing else in these movies is ridiculous. Also, like comic book movies, every one of these monsters has powers. Ghidorah has the ability to flap his wings so hard it creates shockwaves which can topple buildings. There are Martians in this movie. In the American version, the Martians are Venusians. Why did you have to change what planet they came from? Like, who cares? This is the first movie to depict Godzilla as a hero. He maintained this reputation for most of the movies. There's a part where Godzilla bursts out laughing. This is one of the many examples of Godzilla taking on human characteristics as the movies progress. This was released the same year as Mothra vs. Godzilla. This is the only time Toho released 2 Godzilla movies in the same year. Now let's look at Monster Zero, which came out in 1965. In case you can't tell, at this point, Toho is trying to release a new Godzilla movie every year. This film is also known as, God. Invasion of Astro Monster. Some VHS tapes of the movie are called Invasion of the Astros. In Germany, it's called Order Out of the Dark. What's with all the alternative titles? Because of the popularity of Star Trek and 2001: A Space Odyssey, the filmmakers decided to have Godzilla explore space in this movie. This film revolves around a newly discovered planet near Jupiter called Planet X. This planet's inhabitants are being attacked by Monster Zero. The inhabitants ask the people of Earth to borrow Godzilla and Rodin to battle Monster Zero. However, when Godzilla arrives on Planet X, he learns that Monster Zero is actually Ghidorah. Twist. And now we're going to look at the most famous, ridiculous moment in every Godzilla film, but not the last. When Godzilla defeats Ghidorah, Godzilla does a victory dance. He was supposed to do a jump kind of similar to what Chun-Li does in Street Fighter, which is quite a common victory pose in Japan. However, the suit was so heavy the Godzilla actor couldn't do it. Out of frustration, he just jumped up in a ridiculous manner, and the director just couldn't be bothered after trying to get the shot so many times, so he just left it in. In case you're wondering, yes, I have seen every single one of the 33 Godzilla movies. That's the best part. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster came out in 1966. In the movie, Godzilla fights a gargantuan-sized shrimp creature called Ebirah. Although many speculate that Ebirah is a lobster or a crab, his name is derived from the Japanese word ebi, which means shrimp. Even though the tagline for this movie is, "This is one lobster you don't want to order." In the UK, the movie was known as Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. Godzilla's role was supposed to be King Kong. This is obvious because Godzilla is seen sleeping in a cave instead of the ocean. Also, he is awoken with electricity, which is how Kong is awoken in King Kong vs. Godzilla. Godzilla shows affection to a female character, which is another example that shows he was supposed to be Kong. When Kong was intended to be in this film, its original title was Operation Robinson Crusoe. In Germany, the film is called Frankenstein and the Monsters from the Sea. Frankenstein does not appear in this movie. The name was changed since Frankenstein is popular in Germany, so they wanted to capitalize on the film. Godzilla fights a condor called Daikondoro. It is considered to be the worst fight in all the Godzilla movies. In fact, the fight's so bad, I don't even remember it. Son of Godzilla came out in 1967. In Finland, it was known as Son of Frankenstein. In Germany, the film was called Frankenstein's Monsters Hunt Godzilla's Son. As with the previous movie, Frankenstein or his monsters are not seen or mentioned in any way. To save money, the film was shot on a mostly deserted island. The movie introduces Godzilla's son, Minya. Minya is known as Manila in some films, which is an abbreviation of Mini Godzilla. No character ever confirms that Minya is actually Godzilla's son. When the movie came out, Minya's name is never even revealed. He got coined Minya by fans and the name just stuck. In the film, Godzilla and Minya face gigantic praying mantises called Gigantises. The movie concludes with a fight against a huge spider called Spiga. Destroy All Monsters came out in 1968. This was supposed to be the final Godzilla film, and 50 years later, nope. Since it was meant to be the finale, the director decided to throw in almost every character. The movie features 11 monsters: Godzilla, Mothra, Rodin, Ghidorah, Manda, Varan, Baragon, Spiga, Minya, Anguirus, and Gorosaurus. The movie features more monsters than any other movie in the series until 2004. By the way, you might not recognize the names of some of those characters. The serpent Manda first appeared in the movie Atragon. Varan first appeared in Varan the Unbelievable. Baragon was last seen in Frankenstein Conquers the World. Gorosaurus was seen in King Kong Escapes. If you want me to do a video about those films, never gonna happen. The movie was meant to have Ebirah and a giant walrus called Maguma. Maguma is from the movie Gorath. In the UK, the movie was known as Operation Monsterland. The film marked the first appearance of Monster Island. Although Monster Island shows up in other movies, it's called Monsterland in this film. By the way, if Monster Island sounds familiar, they mentioned it in The Simpsons.
What he meant is that Monster Island is actually a peninsula.
In the movie, all the monsters have been rounded up and been put on an island to prevent them from destroying civilizations. The monsters live on the island in peace until an alien race takes control of them and forces them to rain havoc upon the world cities. The story is set in 1999. This is the first Godzilla movie to be set in the future. Minya puffs a smoke ring, which he uses to strangle Ghidorah. I don't know if that's stupid or amazing or both. In Germany, the film is called Frankenstein and the Monsters from Space. There's a lot of monsters, but no Frankenstein. Now you might be thinking, wow, all those monsters, how are they going to top this? Simple. They didn't. The next film, Godzilla's Revenge, which came out in 1969.
It's the worst movie ever made.
Oh, if you thought that Godzilla film was disappointing. This makes this Godzilla film look like a film. Okay, most of the film takes place in a boy's dream. The film was made very kid-friendly because giant monster, children, that's fine. The filmmakers wanted to be kid-friendly, so he released during Christmas season. However, the movie heavily relied on footage from other films in the series. Technically, Godzilla isn't even in the movie since he only appears in the boy's dream. The boy's movie befriends Minya. Minya can speak perfect English.
Hey, come on over here. I won't hurt you.
Minya can also shrink down to human size because magic. The film concludes with Minya fighting a guy called Ghidorah who uses electric rays to fight. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster came out in 1971. The Smog Monster is called Ghidorah. He was formed from Earth's pollution. He fights by shooting lasers and dumping pollution around his surroundings. Round his surroundings. A lot of rounds there. Although this is intended to be a kids movie, there are some pretty disturbing scenes in this film, including humans being turned into skeletons. There's also a psychedelic scene where a man hallucinates and sees fish-faced people. This isn't the worst Godzilla film, but it's definitely the weirdest. There's a scene where a building crumbles without sound. The sound effects supervisor forgot to add sound in the scene. Okay, some of the crew must have watched the movie before he released it, and he saw all that and went, that'll be fine. Why didn't you just add it in afterward? There's a scene where a boy is on a roller coaster, and then the film suddenly freeze frames and a shadow of Godzilla appears. It's one of the weirdest scenes in the entire series. In the final scene, Godzilla pulls two yellow orbs out of Ghidorah. It is never explained what they are. The director said they are Ghidorah's eyes, but that doesn't make any sense because his eyes, which are red, are still on his face when he dies. If you watched my first Godzilla film, I mentioned the Godzilla suit weighed 220 pounds, but the Ghidorah suit weighed 300 pounds. The producer of the original movie said this is the worst in the entire series. However, legendary film critic Roger Ebert said this was his favorite Godzilla movie. The actor who played Ghidorah was Kenpachiro Satsuma. He eventually replaced Haruo as Godzilla in future films. In Germany, the movie is called Godzilla vs. Hydrox. Germany changed the title again to Frankenstein's Battle Against the Devil Monsters. Godzilla vs. Gigan came out in 1972. By the way, Gigan is my favorite monster. He's a chicken giant with hooks as hands and a buzzsaw built into his chest. What's not to love? In America, the movie is called Godzilla on Monster Island, even though it only takes place on Monster Island for a few seconds. In Germany, do I even have to explain what the title is? I mean, you can just probably guess. It's called Frankenstein's Hellspawn. This is the first film where Godzilla draws blood. Okay, in my personal opinion, this is the weirdest moment in all the Godzilla films. Godzilla talks. Now, at this point, pretty much every Godzilla film has at least one incredibly strange scene. But this just takes the biscuit. Like, he calls Anguirus Agira for some reason. Also, Godzilla never talks again. This would be like if Chewbacca in one Star Wars movie just talked for 10 seconds and nobody references that's odd, and then he's right back to growling. This came out 46 years ago. I have no idea why he talks in this scene. In certain scenes, it's clear that the Godzilla costumes were falling apart after being overused over the years. This was Haruo's final performance as Godzilla. He played Godzilla for 28 years. Godzilla's iconic roar sounds very strange in the scene. Godzilla vs. Megalon came out in 1973. Since Haruo retired from playing Godzilla, he was replaced by Shinji Takagi. The filmmakers built the costume for this film in 1 week. It's the fastest Godzilla suit ever made. The film debuts Jet Jaguar. Toho had a contest where children would write in their ideas for a new character in the movie. This is the first time that fans had input in what was put in the series. The winner of the contest created a superhero robot called Jet Jaguar. However, it was Toho that came up with the name. The boy wanted to call him Red Arone. Toho chose Jet Jaguar because they wanted to capitalize on the robot craze that Japan was going through at the time. Jet Jaguar was heavily inspired by a robot television show called Ultraman. The funny thing is, Godzilla wasn't supposed to be in this movie. The film was meant to be Jet Jaguar versus Megalon. At the last minute, Toho panicked that the movie wouldn't be successful, so they shoved in Godzilla 2. Also, it's worth mentioning that they can't pronounce Jaguar in Japanese, so they call him Jet Jaga. The continuity is horrific in this movie as scenes keep switching from day to night. Most of the Godzilla films have their titles changed to give the illusion that Frankenstein is in it. However, the German title for this movie doesn't do that. The German title for this movie translates into King Kong, Demons from Outer Space. There's no King Kong, there's no demons, there's no space. There's a from? Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla came out in 1974. I think this has more alternative titles than any other film in the series. In Japan, it's called Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster. It was going to be called Godzilla vs. the Bionic Monster. The German version is called King Kong vs. Godzilla. It goes without saying King Kong is in this movie. What the hell's wrong with you, Germany? Germany, stop doing that. It's the worst thing you've done since 1945. Anguirus dies by having his jaw broken in two. This is a homage to the movie King Kong, when the giant ape kills a T-Rex by breaking its jaw open. And the final movie I'll be looking at in this video is Terror of Mechagodzilla, which came out in 1975. In Germany, the film is called Konga, Godzilla, King Kong, the Spawn of the Devil. No comment. The film introduces Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus was originally supposed to be two monsters called the Titans that fused into one. This is the last film where Godzilla is portrayed as a hero until 2004. And finally, this was the 15th and last Godzilla movie of the original series before it was rebooted. The movie concludes with Godzilla returning to the sea, symbolizing the end of the series. At the time, Toho had severe money problems and assumed this would be their last film, and they weren't even close to being right. And we'll look at those other films in the next video. If you want more Godzilla facts, you can check out my book. It's on Amazon on paperback and Kindle. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. To learn more facts, check out my books on Amazon. They're available on paperback and Kindle. Thanks for watching. See you again.